Why do you think the liquidation today?
Well, Bitcoin and all digital currencies, as a matter of fact, they really flow by news flow. There's no real fundamentals there, as we all talk about all the time. So when it gets start talking about on social media, when you start seeing froth and all the kind of dog coins, if you will, the Shiba Inus, the Doge coins, when they start really rallying, it kind of makes a little bit of a frothy feel, and you start seeing some money taken off the table.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, Robinhood's a quarter and the percentage of transactions that were crypto related obviously comes down in Q3. A lot of discussion about whether or not that's related to return to work. There's just less time to sit around your terminal and trade crypto. How valid do you think that is?
I mean, I think that's a little bit of a reach, in all honesty. I mean, you look at Q3, it was a very weak time for the markets, right? It includes the majority, it includes the summer, which, you know, it takes people out of, it takes people out of, people getting back to sports, people getting back to school. That's one argument. But when you have the economy starting to open up, people don't start moving away from investing. We've actually seen quite the opposite, right? We've seen people come back into trading after this huge lockdown earlier in the year and last year. We're seeing those trends continue and even increase. As a point of fact, we have double the account openings in the month of October than we saw in September. So I don't think that argument holds much water.
Right. What about the idea that it's somehow tied to household cash flow and, by extension, stimulus checks, or the pace of stimulus checks, which is obviously coming to an end? How valid is that?
I mean, that's a story that's a little stale, in my opinion. When we talk about growing accounts and AUM growing in newer brokers like Robinhood, like Webull, we talk about the pie being expanded, right? There's not a finite number of customers that are joining here. We're expanding to new customers that never existed before. So stimulus checks, of course, that's going to be a huge tailwind for us, but it's not the end all be all.
So, Anthony, I want to go back to something you just said. I mean, you just talked about the growth you're seeing on your platform. Does that speak to the fact that the landscape's getting more competitive? And also, just in terms of, given the fact that you're tossing out some of these other theories, in terms of more folks, more day traders, more retail investors, et cetera, getting involved in the pandemic, is that something that is going to be more lasting in general then?
Yeah, I mean, the model that we've created, and I talk about Webull, I talk about Robinhood. We've created an experience of investing rather than just investing as a utility. This is something that's a long-term model, right? This is changing the way people interact with their finances, and this is going to be the way that all will interact with their finances going forward. So yes, this is a long-term trend. This is not, this is not a quick pop. I know, Robinhood, I think, was down about 10% earlier today after their earnings. I mean, this is a short-term blip for a long-term project, right? I'm very, I'm biased here, right? But I'm very bullish on this whole experience of investing changing throughout.